KCRA 3 News. This is a Commitment 2020 special. The road to the White House.
And tonight, that road takes us to Las Vegas, where the Democratic presidential debate just wrapped up. As you saw, this was the 9th debate featuring a total of 6 candidates tonight. Good evening. I'm Gulston Dart, and Lisa Gonzalez is joining us live right now. She's in Las Vegas with a look at the highlights from the debate. And Lisa, to quote a recent movie, I think the theme for tonight would have been Knives Out.
Yeah, no kidding, Gulston. We're right here on the Las Vegas Strip in Sin City, and these candidates put on a Vegas-style boxing match. They all came out swinging. In fact, Michael Bloomberg, as expected, was attacked 10 times within the first 10 minutes of this debate. Of course, also as expected, the front-runner in the polls, Bernie Sanders, was attacked by everyone. Everyone seemed to have something to say, especially about the newcomer, Michael Bloomberg. Take a listen.
A billionaire who calls women fat broads and horse-faced lesbians. And no, I'm not talking about Donald Trump. I'm talking about Mayor Bloomberg.
The fact of the matter is he has not managed his city very, very well when he was there. He didn't get a whole lot done.
And I'm not going to do that because a campaign memo from Mayor Bloomberg said this morning that the only way that we get a nominee is if we step aside for him.
We shouldn't have to choose between one candidate who wants to burn this party down and another candidate who wants to buy this party out. Look, we can do better.
We are giving a voice to people who are saying we are sick and tired of billionaires like Mr. Bloomberg seeing huge expansions of their wealth while 500,000 people sleep out on the street tonight.
I don't think there's any chance of the senator beating President Trump. I don't think there's any chance whatsoever. And if he goes and is the candidate, we will have Donald Trump for another 4 years, and we can't stand that.
There were a lot of attacks, personal attacks, especially against Michael Bloomberg, Gulston. As I mentioned, they attacked him about his treatment of women, especially within his companies, as his policing policies when he was mayor of New York City, attacked him for the money that he had and also transparency and the non-disclosure agreements. So there were several topics there, but they did, Gulston, I know, I'm sure you could agree, actually get to hit on some of the topics, real issues that affect real people like healthcare and also talking about climate change, which of course we'll talk about that a little bit later. But man, it was quite a show on the stage right here at the Paris Hotel behind me.
Yeah, you know, it was obviously he was taking a lot early on, and there's some evidence to show that he wasn't quite prepared to take on some of those questions and some of the accusations that the other candidates were making against him. Lisa, we're going to come back to you live in Las Vegas. In a minute, I'm going to talk with 2 of our political analysts to get their takes on how things went with tonight's debate. But right now, let's head over to Brian Heap. He's with some voters. He joins me with a group of people who watched the entire debate. They were just dialed in with this one, Brian.
Gulston, we have a panel here with us, 7 voters from the Sacramento area, and I sat down, watched the whole thing with them this evening, and we saw some of those early fireworks for sure. Let's just throw it out there, though. Did anything you saw tonight change your mind at all for you? Anybody?
I mean, Elizabeth Warren came out swinging. There's no question. So she put herself back on that stage.
I think Elizabeth Warren also. I think she won the debate clearly to me. I just think that she was she hit harder, and she hit everybody.
Yeah, and you said earlier, Jay, but before tonight, you didn't think that.
No, I really thought Bernie Sanders was going to just basically run away with this thing. I thought once he took the lead and overcame Joe Biden, that was it. But I don't know. I think it's up for grabs now.
Patty?
I didn't necessarily have my mind changed, but I felt that Elizabeth, like she had to, she came out really strong and swinging in the beginning of this debate, and then she really kind of nailed it throughout and called people to the carpet.
Yeah, I think Senator Warren definitely showed up, punched Mayor Bloomberg in the face, turned in her homework, and got an A+. I think the tale here is there's a tale of 2 Mike Bloombergs, right? You have the Bloomberg who's on TV on all the commercials, who sounds like a good candidate, but then when he shows up in the debate, he absolutely withers under the blows of the other candidates. So I think that's the issue here.
Yeah, I think that was my next question for you guys is, I mean, this was Michael Bloomberg's night tonight to maybe really jump in this race with both feet. And does anyone think he did that or didn't do that?
I don't think so. I think if you have that kind of money, you should have been able to at least buy someone who could help you, figure this out. And he didn't come prepared tonight.
Danny?
I do actually think Bloomberg acquitted himself well in the second half of the debate. I agree with everyone here that Warren was aggressive tonight, but she was going after the wrong candidate. She went after Bloomberg. She should have been going after Bernie because those are the voters that she really needs to convince. Bloomberg in the second half, when he wasn't defending himself from personal attacks and he got to talk about policy when it comes to energy, business, economy, trade, he sounded competent. But he just has to, you have to listen to his policy points. And the other candidates were hitting him really hard early. So, but I do think that he sounded smart.
Yeah, but in our community, the things that Bloomberg did, stop and frisk, tonight didn't help him. And the only candidate that spoke to the black community for real, I mean, I think with sincerity, was Elizabeth Warren. And she didn't just speak about the black community and brown community once or twice. Several times she made reference to them. And I think that it's going to help her in the long run. I just think that she made a real impact tonight. I mean, not just, I think she really made an impact. I think you're going to see that tomorrow.
Let me ask you guys this. Two names I don't think I've heard much from you is Pete Buttigieg and also Joe Biden. What were your thoughts on their performances tonight?
Pete, he showed up. I think he was there, but I think Biden just fell flat. I didn't really notice him, to be honest.
I feel like Joe Biden had some fire when he was attacking Michael Bloomberg, which was exciting to see. I don't think we've seen so far.
Yeah, I think the vice president needed a double and got a walk, for better or for worse. So
that'd be good.
I'd like what Pete has to say, and I think that he stood up for himself and his policies. I believe that his policies do have substance. And so he was there, not quite as strong as I've seen him in past debates. Probably the last two debates, I don't think he's done as well as I've seen him in the past.
I think Buttigieg was the most effective when he was going after Bernie, when he's talking about how Bernie's taking the party and appealing to the more conventional Democrat voters. I think he did really well on that tonight.
Yeah, I think that's sort of, we've been talking a lot about who can beat Donald Trump, and I think we need someone who can unite us. We have someone who is dividing us, constantly dividing us, and I think Pete Buttigieg offers the opportunity for us to come together, to be united. He continues to talk that way, and I really appreciate that.
He can't beat Donald Trump.
Okay, all right, well, listen, we're going to continue we're going to check in with our panel again, Gulson, in just a couple minutes, and we'll talk a little bit more about their thoughts as we get closer, of course, now to the March 3rd primary here in California.
Yeah, it's just right around the corner. You got a good group over there, Brian. Thanks so much. Well, joining me right now are Democratic analyst Robin Swanson and Republican analyst Reverend Dwight Williams. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Reverend, I'm going to start with you, and I'm going to ask you later about who you think, if any of these candidates might be able to take on Donald Trump. But let's talk a little bit. We heard a little bit about Elizabeth Warren. She had some anemic showings in the Iowa caucuses and the primary in New Hampshire. She did seem to kind of get out there out front tonight.
Yes.
What did you think about that?
Elizabeth Warren did great. All of the candidates, frankly, did great. They lived up to their expectations of what they needed to do tonight on this stage. They went after Michael Bloomberg. They all made their strong points, did an excellent job of making those points succinctly and clear. The nice was definitely after Mayor Bloomberg, but I think at the end of the day, all of them held up pretty well.
Yeah. How about you, Robin? The winners tonight, what do you think?
Well, everybody certainly piled on Bloomberg, and they certainly didn't roll out a welcome mat for him. I think the smart candidates were looking at what's next. The caucus, the Nevada caucus, the South Carolina primary, and then Super Tuesday. So they needed to communicate to voters of color. They needed to communicate to people they know are going to be voting in delegates. And I think that some people moved the needle on health care, and some people failed to address it. So throwing punches is one thing. I actually think Mayor Pete, though he didn't get a lot of love from our panel over there, he actually had a great night. And so if he's able...
He didn't hurt himself.
He didn't hurt. I think everybody played to type, so nobody broke character, right? But he actually was very natural on the stage, and he was able to throw some jabs and do it with a smile and still be pleasant and likable. And at the end of the day, voters do have to like you. They have to have feelings about you, and they have to want to go into that poll and vote for you. So I think he's able to communicate that in a way that Democratic voters could possibly hear. But Bernie voters are never going to leave Bernie.
Right.
So, you know, some things changed and some things stayed the same.
All right, guys, thanks so much. We'll talk about how this all applies to California voters coming up in a few minutes. We're going to have much more on the fallout and the results of tonight's debate. Wanted to show you this, another live look at Las Vegas. When we come back, the impact tonight's debate could have on the upcoming California primary election. That's less than 2 weeks away. Back in a second.